gosh, sitting here watching Unsolved Mysteries about a house that was built on top of a burial ground, Indian graveyard. But yeah, I smoked a little bit of this.
Just outside of Houston stands the Newport subdivision, known for its 1,500 upscale homes, manicured lawns, and bucolic setting. In the early 1980s, Sam and Judith Haney bought a house at the far western edge of the development.
When we bought the house in Newport, it was the house that we had always been looking for. So it was the house that we intended to stay at for a long period of time.
But there was a morbid secret about the Haney's perfect home, one that would soon turn their lives into a never-ending nightmare. It all began when a mysterious stranger showed up at their door with an ominous warning.
Yes. This elderly man told me that he had noticed that we were putting a swimming pool in our backyard, and that there was something about our backyard that I needed to know about. And so I followed him around to my backyard. He pointed at the ground and said that there are some graves right here. There were 2 graves. And he marked a spot on the ground where they were. And I really didn't know how to react to that. I didn't know if he was just joking. I couldn't understand why he might want to joke about something like that.
All of a sudden, just from a knock on the door, our beliefs, our emotions, everything sort of changed, because it was like, precious.
OG,
I have bodies in my back of my yard.
OG, balanced timer, 50-50.
Using a backhoe, the Haneys decided to see if the man's alarming claims were true.
Oh my.
Hey, stop! Hold it! I think I see something.
Like blood or something. Wow.
We encountered some wood fragments, and at that point we stopped with the backhoe, and we got down into the hole and continued digging by hand. There was pine boards. When we lifted up the first board, we could see the indentation of a skeleton form.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't take long to figure out that it was an actual human remains.
Oh, that's crazy.
Sam had uncovered a very old pine coffin. Over the years, it had been crushed by the weight of the earth.
Alien OG, really good. It's a balanced hybrid.
Sam immediately called the sheriff and county coroner, who conducted an official exhumation. Most of the bones had turned to powder, but 25 fragments were found, some so brittle that they disintegrated when touched. A second coffin, located alongside the first, was left untouched. 2 wedding rings are on the frail index finger of the exposed skeleton.
They handed me the rings, and it was sickening. My feelings were sick of my stomach to think that I had desecrated somebody's grave. Horrified me.
Wow.
Aghast at the thought of human remains beneath their plush green lawn, the Haneys vowed to find out their identities.
Hey, boy.
Their search led them to a longtime resident named Jasper Norton.
Hey, Bubba, what are you doing?
As a youth, Jasper had dug several graves in the area. He told the Haneys that their home and surrounding houses were built on top of an old African-American cemetery called Black Hope.
Black Hope. What the fuck? I just did a video game.
The deceased were mainly former slaves. The last burial was in 1939, and as many as 60 people were interred here in paupers' graves.
As I'm doing this. Wow, that's crazy. The
The
black
people
hope.
had
Like
very
I
little
just did a
money.
game just now for a
They
little
marked
hope.
their graves however
And-
they could,
Wow,
with
that's
markings
crazy.
on trees, with little stones, with fences around them like a family plot.
Dude, this guy, that's just
The two
crazy.
people
That's
buried in the Haney's
I wonder if
backyard
that
were
was
Betty
actually-
and Charlie Thomas.
one of that was
This
based
picture
on
of
the
Betty
movie
is the only known
Paradise,
photograph
the year,
of either
the
one.
same time it came out.
Census records revealed that the married couple were born into slavery in the mid-1800s and freed after the Civil War. They died during the 1930s, and their graves were eventually forgotten.
Betty and Charlie's family wasn't there anymore, and it was up to me to give them the dignity that they deserved. And that was very important to me.
Wow.
Judith and Sam Haney made an extraordinary decision. Plagued by guilt for digging up the Thomases, they reburied the long-departed couple in their own backyard.
I'm so sorry.
The Haneys resolved to live peacefully side by side with the Thomases. But according to the Haneys, what would follow was anything but peaceful.
The live beside that. Oh shit. That's when shit starts happening.
There was a clock in my bedroom, and one night it started sparking and putting out sort of a blue glow.
It's not even plugged
When
in,
Judith
huh?
checked the clock, she found that it was unplugged.
Damn.
The
That's
clock was only the beginning.
yeah. That's not good.
One evening, Sam went to work the night shift, leaving Judith alone.
What you doing?
What's
I heard the sliding glass door open,
What's he doing?
and I heard, which I thought was Sam, saying, "What you doing?"
Crazy, man.
And that sort of shocked me, and I thought, well, he forgot something. Everything was quiet. The sliding glass doors were locked, and I thought, well, you must be losing your mind. This really must be getting to you. But much to my amazement, that's not where the story ended. In the morning, I awoke, went in my closet to get my red shoes, and I could not find them anywhere.
So, of course, I started looking for them and went through all of her closets where she normally puts things. And we just couldn't find it. We had walked just a short distance where the grave sites were, and I could see something on the grave. It was the shoes that Judy was looking for that morning. And they were both side by side, like someone had just picked them up and carried them over and laid them down on the graveside.
Which is weird, man. That's really weird.
Even more disquieting to the Haneys was when they realized what day this was. Betty Thomas's birthday.
And I kind of got the feeling that it was like Charlie was giving Betty a birthday present.
I began
That's
to come to
crazy.
the realization
The
that
husband
this
gave
was
the
not
wife-
all in my mind,
They just throw the red
and that
shoes,
this had
put it
to
on her
have
grave.
some relationship
Yeah.
to Betty and Charlie's graves being disturbed. Their spirits were saying, this isn't right.
The Haneys were not alone. A dozen neighbors whose homes were built on top of the abandoned cemetery reported lights, televisions, and water faucets turning on and off for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Many claimed to hear unearthly sounds. Some even saw supernatural apparitions. And there seemed to be an increasing maliciousness to the bizarre events. Could the spirits of the Black Hope Cemetery, angry at the desecration of their graves, be seeking vengeance? Like the Haneys, Ben and Jean Williams thought they had found suburban paradise when they moved into the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then we moved in, everything changed.
Wow.
When I tried to plant new plants, they just would not live. No matter what I did, fertilize or whatever, I stay still and I would not live. And I constantly had a foreboding feeling, a feeling of
Well, guys,
things
I
are
ain't
not
feeling
right
good today.
or something bad is about to happen.
The weed is not even attempting a little bit and helping
The
a little
Williams said
bit.
that near the flowers,
And
sinkholes appeared in
ain't
the
got much left,
unmistakable
and
shape of a
not gonna be
coffin.
last bit. Oh wow.
The Williams would fill them in, only to have them mysteriously reappear a few days later. The Williams also noticed strange markings on an oak tree by the sinkhole.
Oh no.
An arrow pointed towards the ground. Beneath it were 2 horizontal slash marks. A longtime resident of the area told the Williams he was the one who had marked the tree as a way to identify where his 2 sisters were buried.
Oh wow.
I was devastated. I couldn't believe that, my God, here we are
This is
living
crazy,
on
but yeah, guys,
top
be
of
out
graves.
subscribe
I
to the
felt
last
guilty, and I felt like, we've desecrated graves.
According to the Williams, their ideal home was soon invaded by a menacing presence. Nebulous shadows rapidly slid along the walls. Whispered words and a putrid smell followed in their wake. Had the dead sisters or other spirits disturbed from their eternal resting places come back to life? At the time, the Williams' granddaughter Connie lived with the couple.
Well,
During the blazing heat of summer, Connie said she would stumble into bone-chilling pockets of freezing air.
Well, yeah.
It
Freezing
would
air,
be very,
stinking
very
chill,
chilly.
baby. Yeah,
And
noise.
you'd have just this feeling of foreboding or just, like either something wasn't right. Anywhere in the house, you would have a feeling that you were not alone. Somebody was watching you.
Check
It
out
terrified me to be in the house by myself.
Unsolved Mystery Rumors, season 12, episode 7. And that was
The toilets used to
Alien
flush on their own.
OG, balanced tie burn, 50% Sativa, 50% Indica, THC.
As the water went down, I could hear, it was almost like conversations. Like I could